So hey guys, what's up? Today I've got a video where I'm going to be talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi. The trailer just came out. It is not a reaction video, so don't worry, it's not that. I like Star Wars an awful lot, and this is more like an analysis video where this is me sharing what I think is going to be happening in this movie. So I have a theory that's based off of different little snippets and stuff that we've seen in Star Wars stuff before. So that's what I'm going to be getting into today. I will upfront tell you, if you have not seen the trailer, do not watch this until you go see the trailer. It has spoilers. I'm going to be sharing a scene where Ben Kenobi and Darth Maul fight in Star Wars Rebels. If you haven't seen that yet, don't watch this. And the other one I'm going to say is, if you, for some reason you haven't seen Episode 7 and what's going on in that, don't watch this. Alright, so now that I've got that all covered, we're going to get into it. So, I'm just going to go through the trailer real quick, kind of point things out going on in the trailer, and then I'll go on about my theory. So that right there, obviously, if you look at her clothing and everything, she is still in the same clothing that she was in at the end of Episode 7 when she went after to go meet Luke. And I'm really honestly thinking what's going on here is she has just had some kind of other crazy vision similar to when she touched a lightsaber on, what was that planet called? Anyways, the one where she touched Luke and Anakin's old lightsaber, and she went into the flashback where she could hear like some of the stuff that was happening on in Empire Strikes Back and whatnot. I think a lot of these parts that they're talking about in these movies are going to be flashback sequences told in that kind of manner. Now, Luke is obviously training her, and I think this part of the trailer is very important.
Light. Darkness. The balance.
Okay, so she says she can see light, darkness, the balance, and this is probably what everybody that is first being taught the Force has. This is interesting though, this old document or book, and this symbol right here, as far as I remember, is the old symbol of the Jedi Order. So this is very interesting that I think that these are probably books that Luke has found on that temple where he's at. So we'll have to see in the movie. And then there's one last line here I want to share with you guys that is very, very important, I think.
For the Jedi.
Right here.
It's time for the Jedi to end.
So we have Star Wars in red, which is the main thing that people saw when they saw this last time in The Last Jedi, and people were getting worried that the Jedi are going to end. So here we have Luke actually saying it's time for the Jedi to end. Now, does this mean people were taking this already as like, this is going to be the death of Luke Skywalker? I actually don't think so, and there's a couple of reasons I think this. One of them is going to be some of the things have been pointed to. So Kathleen Kennedy has gone and said that Star Wars is very much about the Skywalker lineage, and we have two Skywalkers that we know of. We have Ben Solo, who is kind of, he's not Luke's child, but I'm going to say there's a possibility of that. I think he could been, the name Ben is strange for Leia to have named him Ben for never actually met Ben Kenobi. And one of the theories I've had for a while is that Ben Solo is actually Luke's kid, and Han and Leia were raising him due to whatever reason. Something happened where, because of him training the new Jedi, he couldn't raise a child at the same time or whatever, but maybe he had a child with some woman, she didn't make it or something happened, and Han and Leia ended up raising Ben Skywalker or Ben Solo. So that's one theory I have there. That could be like the you were my, I'm your father kind of moment there or something like that. I don't think Rey is his child. I think Rey is more of a participant in a story that we are now seeing the story play out from a different point of view than straight up like, here's the entire story from Luke himself. But now we might be seeing the story being played out from somebody else's point of view, which would make it a little bit more interesting. I don't think Luke is going to die in this movie. I think Luke is going to transform or become something different. And I think Rey is going to be that first student that he kind of carries along with him in this new ideology. But I do think he is going to effectively end the idea of the Jedi Order right here in this movie. And so maybe this is why it's called The Last Jedi. Maybe this is why it's going dark. And I think what Luke kind of caught on to was the Force has like almost a counterbalance built into it. So if you have too many Jedi on the light side, it almost pulls certain members or people that are Force sensitive to the dark side of the Force that counterbalance everything. And maybe he discovered that this happens in the original Jedi or something before the Jedi was more of a gray. They pulled both from the light and the dark, and you just had to trust them to be, to do the right thing based on their point of view or whatnot. So that's where I think this is going. Now, the reason I think this is based off of episodes 1 through 3, The Phantom Menace to, Revenge of the Sith. We were always told that Anakin was the enlightened one, the chosen one, because he was born without a father. He was born out of the Force, midi-chlorians, which I'd like to forget. And then he was also, he's so strong in the Force that when they checked him out, he was like even more powerful than Yoda right off the bat. So they just assumed that he was the chosen one. So if we go back here to Star Wars Rebels, which I'm going to... There's this scene here with Obi-Wan and Darth Maul that had a few lines in it that I thought were pretty important.
You have. Why come to this place? Not simply to hide. Oh, you have a purpose here. Perhaps you are protecting something. No, protecting someone. Tell me, is it the chosen one?
He is.
He will avenge us.
So the one, obviously, that Ben Kenobi was protecting on Tatooine was Luke, and the chosen one that he's speaking of is now Luke Skywalker, not Anakin. So if Luke is the chosen one, and the prophecy is that the chosen one will bring balance back to the Force, I don't think Luke's story will end that abruptly in this. I can't believe that they would just like kind of make it go like, well, he's learned all this thing on this island, and he's just been waiting for Rey to show up, and he's taught her in a different way, and now that will bring balance in the Force. But, I don't know. I think some things happen to Luke, too, maybe, that it's kind of interesting to see. So, if we look at the, how they'll go with it here, if we look at the poster that came out today, it's very reminiscent of A New Hope, where Luke was holding the lightsaber up, and they had this kind of like, star-looking pattern coming out with the lightsaber blade. But the difference here is if you look, everything's covered in red, right? And then we've got Rey here, who's obviously not tinted in red. She is emitting a blade out that's going from blue to red. So it is changing color here. And then we have Ben here, which is not very surprising, or Kylo, if in red here. And then we have Luke also in red. And like, why is Luke in red? Did Luke also semi-turn to the dark side after the events of the temple? Did he run off to protect others from him after that happened? Not only to find answers, but also to protect them from himself. That would be an interesting dynamic. And maybe he's spent enough time there where he's kind of like rebalanced himself, or maybe he's not balanced. Maybe he is a semi-dark side user now. So that's something that's going to be really interesting to see in this movie. Anyways, guys, that's just my thoughts on where I think some of this is going. I think Rey has an important part, but I think it would be more interesting to me if we saw the story play out from her point of view, but it was still about Luke, very much so. So anyways, guys, links down below for social media, all the places I put videos, Twitch for live streams. And if you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up. I'd like to hear your guys' theories down below as well. Get in a discussion about this. I'll be active on there for about a week or so. And yeah, so I'll see you guys later.